It was an ordinary summer afternoon when 7-year-old Lily went missing from a small-town ice cream shop in Oregon. One moment she was smiling, holding her favorite mint chip cone, and the next she was gone. The last known image of her came from a security camera near the entrance, capturing her turning to wave at someone just outside the frame. That haunting footage became the centerpiece of the investigation, replayed over and over by police and heartbroken family members. For 6 long years, there were no leads, no signs, no witnesses, no clues. Her parents, Mark and Jenna, searched tirelessly, following every possible tip across the state, clinging to hope even when others stopped believing. But then, everything changed. Mark was driving home from work on a quiet back road when he spotted an old, beat-up pickup truck parked outside an abandoned gas station. It wasn't just the truck that made his stomach drop, was the faded sticker on the back window. It was the exact same one Lily had picked out on her last birthday. The sticker had a pink cartoon dinosaur wearing sunglasses, a detail so small, so unique that it couldn't be a coincidence. Mark slammed on the brakes, heart pounding. Could this be connected to Lily's disappearance? Was she still out there, alive? He stepped out of the car, eyes locked on the truck, unaware that what he was about to find would uncover a truth far deeper and darker than he ever imagined. Mark slowly approached the truck, each step feeling heavier than the last. The vehicle looked like it hadn't moved in days. Dust clung to the windows, and weeds had started growing around the tires. But that sticker, it looked almost untouched, like someone had recently cleaned around it. His heart raced as he peeked inside the dusty window. There were fast food wrappers scattered across the passenger seat, and a small pink hoodie balled up in the back. It wasn't proof, but it looked familiar, just like the one Lily had worn that day, 6 years ago. Lily's disappearance had shattered their quiet life. The police investigated every angle: employees at the ice cream shop, nearby traffic cams, known offenders in the area, but nothing stuck. After months, the case went cold. But Mark never gave up. Kept a file box in his garage filled with every article, flyer, and lead. He even kept Lily's room exactly the way she left it, convinced she'd return one day. Now, standing in front of this truck, he felt something shift. This wasn't just a memory, it was something real. Called the local sheriff with trembling hands, reporting the vehicle and asking them to come immediately. But before they arrived, Mark noticed something else. Across the street, behind a fence, was a small, run-down house. The curtains moved, just slightly. Someone was watching, and something inside told him whoever it was, they knew exactly who. Lily was. Mark didn't move. He stood frozen, staring at the house across the street. The way the curtain twitched, it wasn't the wind. Someone had seen him. His instinct told him not to act rashly, but his heart, driven by 6 years of unanswered questions, nearly pulled him toward the door. Before he could take a step, he heard the sound of tires crunching gravel. It was the sheriff's car. When Sheriff Halbrook stepped out, Mark quickly explained everything's a sticker, the hoodie, the strange movement in the house. The sheriff took a look at the truck and agreed it was worth investigating. As they walked cautiously toward the house, Halbrook asked if anyone new had moved into the area recently. Mark shook his head. This street had been quiet for years. But now, the house looked lived in. The porch light was broken, but the grass had been trimmed, and there were fresh tire tracks in the dirt driveway. Meanwhile, back home, Jenna sat at the kitchen table, staring at the framed photo of Lily, taken just days before she vanished. She still wore the matching pink dinosaur hoodie then. The memories were always there, always circling. When Mark called and told her what he'd found, she felt a mixture of hope and fear. Inside the rundown house, someone paced behind the curtains. A girl's voice, soft but clear, asked, "Is someone here?" And in that moment, all the years of silence started to crack. But who was watching, and Why were they hiding her? Sheriff Halbrook knocked firmly on the door, his other hand resting near his sidearm. Mark stood just behind him, heart pounding in his chest like a drum. There was no answer. The house stayed quiet, but the curtain moved again this time, more. Obviously, someone was inside. Halbrook knocked again, louder. "This is the sheriff's department. We need to speak with the occupants." Still silence. Mark scanned the windows, searching for any glimpse of a face, a shadow, anything. Then he heard it, a muffled sound. It wasn't clear, but it almost sounded like someone calling for help. Halbrook heard it too. He motioned for Mark to stay back as he tried the door. It was locked. He walked around the side while Mark crept toward the back window. That's when he saw it just for a flash. A face, pale, thin, wide eyes. A young girl. His breath caught in his throat. It couldn't be. But something deep inside told him it was her suddenly. The sound of movement erupted from inside footsteps, something falling, a door slamming shut. Mark ran to the front just as Halbrook called in for backup. Whoever was in that house was trying to run. Tires screeched out back. A second vehicle. Mark darted around to catch a glimpse. A dark van sped off, kicking up gravel as it disappeared. Down the road, inside the house, was now eerily still. But something had been left behind. And what Mark and the sheriff would find next would change everything. Mark rushed into the house behind the sheriff as backup arrived. The living room was sparsely furnished, just a stained sofa, a flickering lamp, and empty food containers scattered across a folding table. But what stood out most was the whiteboard on the wall. On it were maps, newspaper clippings, and surveillance photos, all of them showing various parks, schools, and playgrounds. At the center of it all was a photo of Lily, taken years after her disappearance. She looked older, but unmistakably her dot in a back room. They found a locked door. Sheriff Halbrook pried it open. Inside was a small, dimly lit space that looked more like a makeshift classroom than a bedroom. There were notebooks, worn books, and neatly stacked drawings, some with names written at the top. Not just Lily's. Other names, other girls. Some had question marks next to them. Others were crossed out. One name was circled in red, Mara. Then came the twist no one expected. An officer found a discarded cell phone under the couch. When powered on, it lit up with a message notification. Asterisk, Mara is in place. Drop scheduled for Tuesday. Same van, same route. The timestamp? Just 2 hours ago. This wasn't just about Lily. It was bigger. A coordinated operation. And the people involved had been watching families for years, maybe longer. Mark looked at the whiteboard, stunned. The van wasn't running. It was relocating. And Lily might not have been the only child still out there, waiting to be found. Sheriff Halbrook immediately dispatched units along the highway exits and back roads listed on the whiteboard. The message on the phone suggested there was still time to intercept the van before the drop. Mark stayed behind at the station, pacing, unable to stop replaying the image of the pale face in the window. He knew it was Lily. He felt it. In his bones. Then, just as the sun dipped below the trees, the call came in. A patrol unit had spotted the black van heading west near an abandoned farm just outside town. A chase followed. Officers cornered the van on a dirt road, boxing it in before it could turn back. Weapons drawn, they pulled the driver from the vehicle. He wasn't alone. In the back, scared but unharmed, were 2 girls. One of them was Lily. Mark arrived moments later, breathless, tears in his eyes as he called out her name. She looked up slowly, unsure at first, but then she ran into his arms, sobbing. 6 years apart, and somehow she remembered. Just as relief washed over everyone, the sheriff's radio crackled again. We found another location, basement under the cabin. There's more. Authorities uncovered a hidden room beneath the house, filled with identification cards, photos, and logs detailed records of children watched, taken, and moved. What they thought was a one-time abduction was part of a wider trafficking network. Lily's return was just the beginning, and somewhere, another van was already on the road, heading for a new town. In the days that followed, Lily's safe return made headlines across the country. People were stunned by the shocking truth behind her disappearance and the bravery of her father, Mark, who never gave up. Authorities worked around the clock, using the evidence found in the basement to uncover more locations tied to the trafficking ring. Several arrests were made, and more missing children were identified and brought home to their families. What started with a girl holding an ice cream cone turned into a case that exposed years of silent suffering and hidden crime. At home, Lily began slowly adjusting to life with her family again. Things were different. She had grown older, things no child should, but her spirit was strong. Mark and Jenna stood by her, patient and present, surrounding her with the love and safety she had been denied for too long. The room that had once remained untouched for 6 years was now filled with warmth, healing, and quiet laughter once again. The small town that had once mourned now stood together stronger than ever. Parents became more vigilant, and the community pushed for better safety measures and awareness around child abduction and trafficking. Mark later shared his story to raise awareness, hoping it would help even one more child be found.